Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. I'm so glad you're with us wherever you are. If you're joining us here on the television airwaves in the Santa Barbara County area, we welcome you at TVSB. We love our local audience, and so many of you are joining us all around the world, all these other platforms, goodlifetelevision.org, tens and tens of thousands of you from 103 countries. We love you. We're so glad you're finding us. We're bringing hope, inspiration, light. We don't ignore the tough stuff about living on planet Earth, but we dwell on the good stuff. And so we're so glad that you're with us and part of this. And then now there's a YouTube channel, and you can subscribe there. Many of you have. All the social media platforms, even Twitter, you can find us, which is now called X, I guess. And then the last thing is the podcast. So many of you join us on the podcast. Good Life Conversations is what you want to search for. Any podcast platforms, all the big ones, we're there, and we love that you're finding us there. And we thank our friends at Bunnin Chevrolet for their support. We're presented as always by Bunnin Chevrolet, so we thank Leo and the crew. Grateful for you guys. And I'm so excited about my guest today. He's a good friend. He's a local CEO, a leader. Has a great family. You're gonna love this guy. Jason Lekas is with me. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Chief Operating Officer. Is that still your title? Aren't you President, CEO? What are you? Chief Bottle Washer?
I do everything. I serve the entire company.
Yeah, he's the leader at Complete Care at Home here in Santa Barbara. This is a fantastic business that we're going to get into a little bit in terms of what they do. But I love having business leaders on because we can talk about we have a lot of nonprofit leaders, public servants, we have athletes and coaches and all people of all walks of life, but I really love having business leaders on because of the impact that they can have. We've talked about this, but the ripple effect with employees and family, and then of course the clients you serve. So it's a wonderful thing. Start by telling us where you grew up. Tell us just a little bit about kind of your early life, family. I know you went to Biola, but take us through kind of college.
Well, I grew up in San Diego. My dad worked for a state university, so when I was in college age or deciding where to go with my college years, I had the choice to go the state route, San Diego State University, or somewhere else. And so as I was making that choice, my pastor said, "You really ought to try Biola University." That's where I went. And I said, "It's too expensive, I can't go, it's in Los Angeles, I don't have any friends up there." But I decided to go on faith, and I took my pastor's advice, and I drove to LA, and I went and visited this university, and I felt like it was home to me. So,
wow.
6 months later, I was starting my first year at Biola University. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What was your major there?
I studied history.
You did?
Yeah, history.
Love it.
Yeah, I was going to be. I had a plan. I had a whole plan for my life.
Yeah.
I was going to do history in undergrad. I was going to do some kind of master's degree in international politics or something like that. I was going to join the military. I was going to be a spy. You know, the whole deal. Go into government service, and then just didn't end up that way. But that was my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love history. I love reading it. I love understanding it. I love framing my present in the context of the past.
When did you come to faith?
14 years old. Grew up going to church. Did not have a faith until I was about 14. Parents started to fight when I was about 14 or 15 years old. I knew that was my parents were gonna divorce at one point, or it was just a bad situation.
Huh.
And I found myself really searching for some structure and some foundation.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with my mom, and she says, I heard this great things about this church that you ought to go visit. And we used to go to this church years ago. We've stopped going since, but you really got to try it. And I was 14. I was, hitting puberty. I started to like girls, and all the things the pathway was before me. I was either going to do something good, I was going to do something bad.
Right.
And so I decided at that point, I said, I'll give it a try. For my mom's sake, I'll give it a try. And so I show up to the first youth group meeting. These people embrace me, they take me in, they welcome me. And 6 months later, I'm on a missions trip with them. And I would say at this point, I did not have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. But after I decided to go on this missions trip and pour out in service to other people, it was unmistakable, undeniable. I could not say no to what the Holy Spirit was doing in my life. He said, if God can be this faithful to me, then I have no choice but to follow him. So I was 14, 15 years old, and that really established the context for my whole life. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What did your parents think?
My mom loved it. She was very excited about it. My dad loved it as well. He loved the fact that I found my way. So,
wow. And they divorced?
They are divorced. Yeah.
Was that painful?
Very, very. Yeah. Extremely.
At what age did that happen?
I was 18.
18.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to Biola, and then you end up coming to Santa Barbara.
Yeah. At Biola University, I was in a dorm room. We were doing some intramural football stuff, and I met a guy from another floor, and he says, hey, let's do a football team together. So we started playing football together. It was fun, you know. I'm not a small guy, so and he wasn't either, but so we had fun playing football. So 2 years later, I'm into trying to figure out how I'm going to graduate. You know, you try to get your credits. You're like, I need the language arts, I need art, you know, I need all these different undergrad degree classes that you need to graduate. And I realized I have a year left, but I have 4 classes of language to do, and if I don't do something drastic, I am not going to make it in time. And I was paying for the entire thing myself. I didn't have the bandwidth or the financial wherewithal to continue for another year.
Yeah.
So I was looking around on the internet. I found a language course, full immersion course, UCSB, summer of 2003, I believe it was, Arabic. And since it fit right into my plan, I was going to go, you know, finish my history degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, military, you know, work for the government. Arabic was the language to learn. Yeah. So I went and took Arabic at UCSB for the summer. So it was every day, 6-7 hours a day, lots of homework. And by the end of the summer, I will say that I could understand it and read it and speak it a tiny bit. But since then, I've lost it. So if you ask me to say anything in Arabic, I would say absolutely not. I can't do it. So, got it. So I took this language course, and when I was up here, I said, where am I going to stay? I don't have a hotel. I don't know anybody in Santa Barbara. I got to do this class. I guess I'll just live in my truck. So I had a little truck. I was going to camp out in the back. You know, I was just going to make it work. But my friend, who I was playing football with, Daniel Eigen, said, don't do that. Move in with my family. And I moved in. So I started they were right on the bike path, so I took my bike to UCSB every day and took this course and lived with the Eigen family, and my life was never the same after that.
And you met somebody there then, right?
And I met my wife at that point, his younger sister, Katie. I met her at that point in her life, and I did my thing for a number of years, and she did her thing for a number of years, but 5 years later we got married.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the Eigens just took you in.
They just took me in, an little orphan boy. Yeah.
How fantastic. So now, and then you, for 10 years you did this camp, San Marcos Christian Camp, which I'm a big fan of camps. I think they can have a huge impact in people's lives. Tell us about that 10-year period.
Sure.
What you did, what you learned.
Yeah. Can I tell you the little context before that?
Yeah.
So like I said, I had a plan for my life.
Right.
So when I met Katie and we were beginning to be interested in each other, I actually went and joined the Marine Corps. I was finished college. I got an officer, you know, I was a candidate to be an officer in the Marine Corps. And I'm in the middle of training and I break my knee, did some running, and I hurt myself to the point where I couldn't run anymore. So very disappointed because my plan now is not going to happen. My plan, my great plan that I thought was perfect for me was
not going to happen.
No longer going to happen. So I asked the Eigens, Dr. Eigen, I said, what should I do with my knee? He says, well, if you want a knee replacement by the time you're 40, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to keep your body going, you might want to just, you know, make a new plan.
Wow.
So I said, okay, I guess I'm coming home. So I flew back to California. I got some advice from a friend, a mentor in San Diego, and he said, what are you doing in San Diego? You need to be where you want to be, which is with your future wife, with Katie. What are you doing here? So I said, you're right. What am I doing here? So I moved to Santa Barbara. I rented a small room, and I really heard the voice of the Lord. This is the first moment, one of the first moments where I heard God say, do exactly what I tell you to do right now. So he said, take the first job you can get, don't care what it is, but don't do anything else until I tell you to move. So I became a teller. I worked for a bank, Citi Bank here in Santa Barbara. So I worked handling cash, opening new accounts, the whole deal at a bank. And I did that for 3 years, and then at the end of the first financial crisis, 2008 or so, 2009, I was asked to do things at the bank that I just didn't want to do, selling debt and more problems for people. I said, I can't morally continue to do this. And so at that point, God said, go ahead and quit. But what am I going to do next? In the meantime, Katie and I had gotten married. We were living in our own place. It was wonderful. Life was good. I had, everything was taken care of. But God said, go ahead and quit. Give him your resignation. It's okay. I've got a plan for you. And so what happened next was I said, it was about October, November. I said, at the end of the year, it's my last day here at the bank. And of course, they were upset with me. But I said, no, this is exactly what God wants me to do. And so the first day of the year, I volunteered because I was unemployed and had lots of time to go work and volunteer at this camp. The director of the camp at that point looked at me, and he saw me working, and we got to talking. And what happened next was 3 months later, I'm the director of the camp.
Oh my God.
So I had no experience. I was a believer. I was married. I had good connections in Santa Barbara. But I went from being unemployed to being the director of this camp in about 3 months. And it was great. So that's the story of how I ended up at the camp.
Gosh. And was it a great experience?
It was a great experience. 10 years running a camp called San Marcos Christian Camp. It's been in Santa Barbara here since 1956, so a long, long time. Connected to First Baptist Church of Santa Barbara, First Baptist Church Solvang, First Baptist Church Los Feliz. I mean, all the little Baptist churches, they were the ones that funded and built this camp starting from the 50s. And so I got to take over. And
wow. And so did you get to see kind of the life-changing moments for kids?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what was that like?
Camp has this special power in people's lives. If you take somebody out of their normal context, either their home or their work or the town they live in or their group of friends, and you bring them into a new place where they're suddenly exposed to nature, counselors who are mentoring them, people who are pouring into them, exciting, fun things that are controlled but safe, that kind of thing.
Right.
And you get them into that environment, and there's something powerful that happens with people. It doesn't happen after one night. It doesn't happen after 2 days. It starts to happen after about 2 nights, 3 nights at a camp. Life, the excitement and the person that person is, the inner person of that young person begins to come out. And so it's that they feel safe. It's that they feel loved. It's that they are asked to do things that are risky but are safe. It's because of all of this environmental stuff that happens that these people come alive. And so you build around that experience, the camp experience, the context of bringing them into a relationship with Jesus. And so not only are they removed from their home life, which could be bad. In some cases, it's bad.
Yeah.
Some cases it's good, but it's different. It's a different context. But then you bring them into a context where they can come to know Jesus for the first time.
Yeah.
And so suddenly the lights come on, and it's incredible. And so when I got to the camp, it began to be a little dilapidated. There was a lot of deferred maintenance that needed to happen. So we spent a lot of years rebuilding and replanning and rebranding and trying to build up the network of people that would support the camp, donors and groups that would come and use it, things like that. But then after about 5 years, we decided to do our own programs. So we brought our own speaker in, our own band. We've brought people from Westmont College. We brought, I think Turner Foundation has sent kids up there.
Yeah.
It was great years for during that time. And when we started doing these programs, we'd get kids from all over the state. They'd come in, and we just started hearing these miraculous stories. We had one kid who said, "I was going to kill myself when I got home."
Oh my gosh.
And he didn't. And he came back the next year, and the next year, and the next year. Stuff like that
That's
is
worth 10 years of
super
work.
powerful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I spent 10 years doing that. It was the best 10 years of my life.
That's so great. I want to finish this kind of your journey in vocationally, and then I want to get into other stuff. But so complete care of Santa Barbara, complete care at home. Gosh, I screwed this up. Complete care at home here in Santa Barbara. This is an amazing work that your company's doing, and the Ijens, and I know is Carolyn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has been the principal for years, and she's an amazing woman, as is Dr. Ijen. If you're in Santa Barbara, best doctor you'll find, I think, in my opinion. Amazing guy, amazing family. So complete care at home is in-home care for seniors. Talk about this work, your vision for what you do, because I think it's so amazing. It's such a wonderful service, and demographically, a huge need that you guys are helping to meet. So talk about that.
Yeah, Complete Care at Home. It started in 2004 by Carolyn Ijen. She saw a need years and years and years ago. It's called the silver tsunami. People are retiring en masse. You have the baby boomers that are just all of them are gonna hit retirement age, and a cascading effect over the next 10 to 15 years. And so there's a problem because there aren't enough people to take care of these people who need help. And so Complete Care was started as a result of seeing the need and deciding to go for it. Our motto is to help people live where they love to be. And we believe wholeheartedly that people do better, live longer, are more fulfilled, they're happier in every way if they're allowed to live at home.
Yeah.
Because at the end of someone's life, you have two choices. You either go to heaven, or three choices. You go to heaven because you pass away. You move to a skilled nursing facility or a independent living type of facility, or you stay home. All of them are, one of them you don't have a choice on, but two of them you do have a choice on. And we feel strongly that people live longer and happier, healthier, more fulfilled lives at home. And so we make that possible. So Complete Care is a non-medical home care agency that assists people with activities of daily life. So bathing, toileting, eating, ambulation assistance, errands, things like that, just companionship. But what it does is it gives family members and our clients the ability to stay home because they have help.
Right.
So we do it because we value people. We believe that people have value from birth to death, from every phase of life. The human being is a valuable, worthwhile effort of work. So we feel like if you want to stay home and you have the means to do it, we will do everything in our power to help you stay home.
Yeah, that's so good. If you're watching and you have a need in this area, please reach out. Complete Care at Home. And they need workers all the time.
All the time.
That's one of the biggest challenges. Jason and I are in a little group together, and we talk about this. It's a challenge to get good and like-minded people. So if you're looking for a job, that's also another possibility. But yeah, I think there's something spiritually really rich and powerful about honoring our elders.
Absolutely.
And we need to do it well in a society, and we need to care. I mean, I think that's probably something you obviously agree with.
Yeah.
But it's when that's done well, honoring it it's blessed. I really believe that.
Yeah, and one of the 10 Commandments is you shall honor your mother and father.
Yeah.
And we expand upon that, and we say we'll honor everyone's mother and father.
That's right.
And there is a blessing that comes along with that. And so
Yeah.
we get, sometimes it's, the cost of it can be very high. And sometimes it looks like, hey, they're just here to rake in the dollars. But the reality is that that people staying home means that they're happier, they're healthier, they live longer. But we sort of become surrogate family members to some of these people. We have clients who have no family.
Yeah.
We're it.
Yeah.
We have clients who have lots of family, and we come alongside those families. We have clients who are in their hundreds. We have clients who are much, much younger. But
it's a real personal business in that sense. I mean, you're in their home.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so it's not a clinical thing, really. It's really personal.
Very personal.
Yeah, which I think is the way you do it. I love, and the heart of this guy is amazing. So we talk about leadership a lot in our little group. So we have a little thing called Loving Leaders Group. If you're a CEO and it's invite only, but we'll look at you. But we meet every other month, and we talk about leadership. And what we've been talking about is love, and then kind of the 1 Corinthians 13 applied to leadership. Love is patient and kind and not self-serving, and all these characteristics of love that are described. And we're trying to put this into practice. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that, Jason, in terms of your care for, I know you care for your people a lot. You're also running a business. And so talk about how that's impacted what you're doing.
Yeah, it's been a great experience working with you and the others in that group. And it's I love the structured approach to each one of these tenets that we're trying to build. That loving, we are patient, we're kind, we do not envy, we love each other. And so one of the things that I've had to work on is to be patient with people. So,
isn't that a bummer that we had to actually leave and implement it?
Yeah.
Patience.
Patience is
that was the first one we had to do, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was tested too, like right out of the gate. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I? And then I'm like, love is patient. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that really affects people.
Yeah, it does. So I have, many caregivers who work for me. I have a team of 12 admins who work with me. We've got offices in Solvang and Santa Barbara, and we've got things happening all over the county. And so we have by default, we have to trust people.
Yeah.
And so I have to trust that my team in Solvang is working, and they're doing the things that they're supposed to do, and they're doing them well. Yeah. And they're taking care of our clients, and they're taking care of our caregivers. And I have to trust my caregivers that they're not going to steal from any, or they're going to do the best job they can with the client that we've got them placed with. And I got to trust that they're going to show up on time. Or I've got to be, there's a lot of trust that we put into people. And so when trust is not reciprocated, then you have to make a choice. Am I going to be patient and understanding with this person? Right. Or am I going to get angry and upset with this person? And so the Loving Leaders framework that we're talking about has really caused me to, at the moment of choice that I have with a person, to say, am I gonna try to understand what's going on here, or am I going to just give them the boot? Right.
And that's an interesting dichotomy to me. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. It's because the way I've been thinking about it is, it's like the default setting is patience. You can fire somebody with patience. Yeah. Right? I mean, but the default setting is the spirit is patience. The spirit is kindness. Yeah. I'm going to be patient and kind. Yeah. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to fire you if you don't do what we need you to do. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's both. Right. But the spirit is different. It's like a police officer that pulls you over and is kind. You're like, okay, give me the ticket. But if he's a jerk, you want to fight him, and you're like, it's like, so it's interesting how if the default setting is patience, then people are more relaxed, and they feel loved and safe, and you can still hold them accountable. Right. It's absolutely, like it's both.
Absolutely. So that patience default it's just a great reminder for me to, as my team is large and growing and dynamic in every possible way, to remember that each one of them is going through their own journey. Each one of them has their own saga, story, pain, suffering, lots of different things. Yep. And yes, we're going to take care of our clients. We're going to do our job. We're going to do it well. But at the same time, how can I continue to support the person, even if I have to let them go? Right. So,
and it might be the most loving thing in the world to let them go.
Totally.
God may have something for them.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
God may have something better for them. I'm not going to step in the way of if this is the time to part ways. If it's not, then I'm going to trust for you. And I've had to fire many people, and I've said that.
Yeah.
I had to do it last week, but I said that. I said, look, here's where we are. Here's what's happening, and I think there's something better for you.
Right.
I'm trusting that,
Right.
and we want to help you with that. Have anybody call me.
Right.
Have anybody.
So your conversation isn't antagonistic.
No.
It's encouraging to both
right.
of you.
And I actually believe it.
Even in the midst of that difficult conversation.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think you can love somebody in that context. Right. I mean, and unfortunately for bosses like you and I, that's part of the job.
Right.
You have to have those tough conversations.
Right.
But having the default setting of patience and kindness, and those are the first two we've done. We're going to get to a lot more, but
sure.
But is such a groundbreaking thing for a leader. I feel like, it changes things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you're so right. John Johnson said this. He said everything is personal. For your employees, everything's personal. They're not robots.
Yeah.
These are people. Bad days, good days, sick, the kids goes off the rails.
Right.
They have a life that's affecting them as they come to work. So caring about that person is so critical. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
And if we're doing this in the context of big corporate business, you'd say, well, why would you ever let your employees bring their kids to work,
Yeah.
But my office team, it's a if you need to bring your kids to work, bring them to work. I want you to continue to do your job. Take care of your family.
Right.
Your first priority is to your children. I would never try to get in the way of that. Now, if it became a problem, then we'd have to have a different conversation.
Yeah.
But the first phase of our conversation is do your job, take care of your family.
Yeah.
And you can do them together.
Yeah. Right.
So we also believe that complete care is built on the work and the effort of our caregivers. And so I'm not in the person's home.
Right.
My admin team is not in somebody's home doing all the things that need to be done. It's on the backs of my caregivers who are so wonderfully built and equipped to do this. It starts in their heart. They actually have a caring spirit about them. They love helping. They have a context where they took care of grandma and they loved it so much they decided to make it their career. And so they're very good at it. And so I want to continue to support that. And so like in the midst of our trying to take care of caregivers, we started a care and caregiving fund. So if people want to, if one of my caregivers says, hey, look, I can't pay my rent, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm kind of in a tough spot. We have the means and the mechanism to provide for that.
Wow.
We've paid for people's insurance. We've registered their cars. We've bought tires. All the things that just trying to give people a little bit of support.
Amazing.
So that they can continue to do their job.
Caring for the caregivers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really your client, isn't it?
In a sense. Absolutely. 100%.
That's your business, is the caregiver.
Yep.
That's so good.
The caregiver is the client. The client is the way we take care of caregivers.
Right.
And in that symbiotic relationship, we take care of all of them. So.
Brilliant. What do you like about God?
A friend of ours says God is patient. He's patient with us, and he's polite. And one thing I love about my relationship with the Lord is he's always there.
Yeah.
Whether I'm noticing him or not, he's always there, politely waiting for me to turn back to him.
Yeah.
And so I think in the context of my parents' divorce, there was a moment where I could feel the foundation of my life sort of breaking apart underneath me. And people of divorce know that feeling. They know this feeling of just swimming on a topsy-turvy sea. And God was
found that new foundation.
He was there. He's the foundation that I built my life on, that was built first on my relationship with Jesus, and knowing who God is in terms of how he loves us. He's always there. He's always waiting for us. He's always going to love us. He's always got our best interests in mind. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah. God is patient and kind.
Yeah.
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 Thank goodness.
Yeah. I know. It's absolutely amazing. And so there's a passage in the Bible where it says, I came to bring life, or to give life, and to give life abundantly.
Yeah.
And so this abundance is the thing that we're looking for. What is abundance? And it's not material wealth. It's not It's not power, concentration. It's not anything that the world says it is. Abundance is literally being able to look at your Father in heaven with a clear conscience and know that everything is going to be okay.
That's right. Oh, that reminds me of a quote from Dallas Willard. He talks about joy is the pervasive. He talks about joy and this pervasive sense of well-being.
Yeah. That
everything is okay.
Yeah.
Everything is okay.
Yeah.
What a life you have. I mean, we're on our road. We're on the track.
Yeah.
This train is bound for glory. But to live like that, that pervasive sense of well-being, everything is okay. That's the good life. That's what we're talking about here. If you need a mug, let us know.
That's exactly what
That's it, right? That's the whole ball game. Jason Lekas, everybody, businessman, leader. We didn't even get to talk about your family. We'll have him on again. You have a great family too. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
It's so much
Thank
fun.
you, Dean. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time.